Good evening.
Good evening.
Is there any feedback?
Yeah, a little bit, Kate.
Is that better? I think that's better.
Yes.
Thank you. All right. If you could hear me all right, it's 5:32-ish, 3-ish. So let's get started. My name's Kate Schmidt, and I'm the Sustainability Coordinator for Orange County, as well as a land use planner in the Department of Planning. Thank you for joining us this evening, and we hope you could also attend future events if we have them scheduled. We just wrapped up one in March, but we should have a few more coming down. All of our events live on our webpage, orangecountygov.com/sustainability. So all of our past events will be on that page, and this one will be there as well. Just give us a week or so to get that posted. So please share it with anyone, any of your colleagues that have missed tonight. For the sake of all the folks on the call tonight, we ask you that you keep your devices on mute. When we have our Q&A, you can come off. We'll take comments and questions at the end of each topic, but you're welcome to use the chat box and you may get a quicker answer. Please use the chat box and identify yourself, where you live, what group you're from, anything you want to introduce about yourself, your group, or what you hope to get out of tonight's meeting. Love to see the exchange of ideas there. So I remind you that this session is also being recorded. And lastly, credits can be granted for your attendance here, but your municipality is the one that decides whether or not they're going to approve it. So if you need proof from me, let me know. I will put my email in the chat. I will put the website in the chat. If any of the other speakers would like to put their email in the chat as well, I'm sure our folks tonight would appreciate that. So with that out of the way, let's get started. We're starting off with the Hudson Valley Regional Council Executive Deputy Director, Eleanor Peck, and she'll provide an overview of NYSERDA's clean energy communities and educational campaigns. And she's also going to do double duty and explain to you about Cornell Cooperative Extension's low-income energy assistance programs. So Eleanor, please take it away.
Thank you, Kate. And thank you for having me. I'm going to screen share here. Okay. Can everyone see my PowerPoint?
Yes.
Oh, good. Okay. So my name is Eleanor Peck. I'm the Deputy Executive Director of the Hudson Valley Regional Council. And I'm here today to talk about the Clean Energy Communities Program, and I'll also touch on some federal clean energy incentives. So first, just a little bit about Hudson Valley Regional Council. We're one of 10 regional planning organizations in the state. We serve 7 counties: Dutchess, Orange, Putnam, Rockland, Sullivan, Ulster, and Westchester in the Mid-Hudson region. We help municipalities access and understand information and grants from the state and federal level, and we provide technical assistance on environmental, sustainability, economic development, materials management, and water resources. Our programmatic areas are funded by all of the entities that you see here, and you should feel free to reach out to us on any of these areas. And this work would really not be possible without the annual support from our county government members. So thank you to the county governments for that. Oops. All right, so first I'm just going to touch on the Clean Energy Communities Program. So the Clean Energy Communities Program, you can see here that more than 900 municipalities, that's more than half the local governments in the state, are participating in this program. The program provides opportunities for municipalities to improve their community, access grant funding, and earn recognition from the state government. Municipalities complete clean energy high impact actions to earn points in the program, and those points lead to grant funding. Actions consist of everything from having municipal building inspectors take trainings on the energy code to actually, municipalities installing solar arrays on property. We are here tonight to talk about one set of these actions in particular. That's my next slide here. And that's community campaigns. So the one set of actions under the Clean Energy Communities program is community campaigns. There are 3 technologies that fall under the NYSERDA program: electric vehicles, clean heating and cooling technologies, and community solar. So municipalities can earn grants for completing campaigns to encourage their residents to adopt these clean energy technologies. Municipalities earn more funding as more community members participate. And they can earn, small communities under 40,000 people can earn almost $100,000 in no match grants to put towards municipal energy projects. So there's a number of Orange County municipalities, including the county itself, that are participating in the NYSERDA CEC community campaigns. And that's what we're here tonight to do and talk about. This is my husband and daughter in front of our electric car. So the next thing I'm going to talk about is, I don't think anyone else here tonight will touch too much on the incentives for EVs, the new federal incentives. So I wanted to make sure to do that. And also for heat pumps. So there are federal incentives for EVs up to $7,500 off a new electric vehicle, $4,000 off a used one, and businesses, including tax exempt organizations such as municipalities, can get up to $40,000 off clean vehicles each year through the federal clean vehicle commercial tax credit. That's the maximum credit per vehicle is $7,500 for the light duty vehicles, and it goes up from there. So this is something that municipalities are now eligible to take advantage of through direct pay. There are also state incentives for electric vehicles. The NYSERDA has a program called the Drive Clean Rebate, so you can get up to $2,000 off the cost. And this is easier. It's not a tax credit. It's just straight through the dealer. You can get that money off your car. There are also new federal incentives for clean heating and cooling technologies. For residents, it can get up to 30% off the geothermal heating installation. And $2,000 off heat pump air conditioner heaters, and $1,200 off weatherization. So there's a lot of new incentives out there for clean heating and cooling technologies. And there's even more. So these are additional rebates for low to moderate income households, these top 3 bullets: $8,000 off air source heat pumps, $4,000 for energy efficiency retrofits, and another $1,600 off weatherization upgrades. Those are all expected in 2025 to come via NYSERDA from the federal government. And business and tax exempt organizations are also eligible for that geothermal heat pump tax credit. They are not eligible for the air source heat pump tax credits, just the geothermal. So there's a couple resources I wanted to share here. NYSERDA has a great webpage on the incentives and rebates and it shows, what's a federal rebate, what's a state one, and what you can get. There's like a big table basically. So I put the link in the chat. We can share these slides after, or maybe I'll even put the link in my slide, but I'll also put it in the chat. And there's also, this is kind of fun. This organization called Rewiring America had just came out with a personal electrification planner. So you can plug in your address, tell them whether you own or rent your home, and you can they can tell you all of the projects that you might do related to clean energy and how you could get rebates and tax credits for them. So it's kind of an interactive tool, which I thought was neat. This is a little bit about my organization, all of our contact information. And next up, I want to, Fernando Ahumada could not be here tonight. He is He is the energy advisor for Orange County. So NYSERDA recently created this regional clean energy hub program. So Orange County now has Fernando. He's the county's energy advisor. So residents and small businesses in the county can reach out to Fernando, he can guide residents through various programs and incentives that are available for them. He could not be here tonight, but his information is listed here. And this is a fun slide that they have about, what are the various rebates that are available and 3 steps that they have to a cleaner and greener home. So that's that for Fernando. So I'll put Fernando's information in the chat too. And he's geared especially towards low to moderate income households. He's available to help them. So definitely worth reaching out to. Put his link in there. Thank you, Kate.
Thank you. That was great, but it was a lot. Chris, you're up if you want to share the screen. It was a lot, and I'm hoping Chris will be able to elaborate before I ask my questions. We have Christopher Trenard. He's the residential heat pump efficiency guy at O&R up next. There he is. And my specific questions were more of, you threw in geothermal there, Eleanor, a little bit after the other clean heating and cooling. So if Chris or Jesse could be next to tell me about that, maybe just elaborate on the difference between the two and what the incentives are for both. And then later on, I'm going to ask Eleanor about the direct pay and for municipalities. So stay tuned. Chris, are you ready?
Absolutely. Can you see my screen?
We can. Thank you.
All
Very
right,
good.
no problem. My name is Chris Trenard, and I'm with Orange and Rockland, the utility company. I'm the program administrator for the Clean Heat program. So what I hope to get out of this is to bring you guys more awareness about heat pumps and give you some information about incentives, as Kate just stated. So Clean Heat really does help build clean energy communities, and that's what we're all here to learn about. There is a huge misconception, it seems, that let's move to the next slide. Apologies. Did it move? Or I can't. Okay, there it goes. Okay, so there is a huge myth that heat pumps can't keep you warm in the Northeast winters. And the fun fact is that cold climate heat pumps, as well as geothermal heat pumps, are efficient, reliable, and can absolutely keep you warm in those winters. You almost don't need to keep your old fossil fuel heating as a backup plan. So there are a couple differences in how they work and used. There are some also similarities. So we do have cold climate ductless mini splits. We have cold climate air source heat pumps, as well as geothermal heat pumps. And as you can see on the screen, if you have a different layout, potentially ductwork, no ductwork, one might work better potentially for you than the other. They all work by moving heat from the outdoors into your home in the colder months, and they switch the process and do the reverse in the hotter months by taking heat out of your home and forcing it outside. If you're wondering what, again, the right heat pump situation or solution for your home is, these are some of the common questions that we get. And, you know, if you have forced air, for example, geothermal may be the better technology for you because it can modernize your traditional system and make it more efficient. Previously, we did have rebates for partial. So if you said something like, I need to only heat or cool one room, we have ductless mini splits that basically can heat one room or potentially cool it. The real reason that we are here today is, again, to discuss the benefits and then how O&R can help you become more energy efficient. So here we have in the little green box, you can get thousands of dollars in rebates when you eliminate your old fossil fuel and make your heat pump, your full load air source heat pump, your primary heating source. We have tiered options. So for those who are still skeptic, you can keep your old unit. You can go the integrated control route, which kind of relies on your old unit if the temperature were to drop below a certain temperature. And then the highest payout tier would be decommissioning, which would be removing your existing and relying on that heat pump 100% of the time. Before we get to that, we just want to cover the benefits again of heat pumps. We know that everybody here is looking to be more energy efficient, or we hope at least. Some things that I know people misunderstand about heat pumps is that by the name, it just heats. Not true. It is heating and cooling. And again, it provides it more efficiently. So I know that we're reaching the point in time, if the weather ever decides to make its mind up, where we will be seeing some summer days. And I know some people are looking at their window units. This would be a good solution for both. Lastly, of course, here at O&R, we have some financial incentives to help you bring down the cost or supplement the cost of your project. And all this information can be found at oru.com/heat pumps. So here are incentive tiers. Everything air source heat pump. Again, cold climate air source heat pump is our categories 2, 2A, and 2B. These numbers here that you see for 700, 1,000, and 14 are not the rebate numbers. There is a little bit of calculation that goes behind it. And again, it is tiered based on what you do. So that first option 2, if you were to leave your old fossil fuel heating unit intact and just install a heat pump to cover 100% of your square footage there, you would get $700 along with some additional math based on sizing, how long you're using it, etc. If you were to do an integrated control, so you're a little skeptic, you want to make sure that just in case it reaches below 5 degrees, which is what cold climates heat to, that your old fossil fuel system can pick up and carry it, you get $1,000 per unit and additional math there. And then the highest tier would be if you decommission your own unit, your old unit, apologies, and rely on it again as your 100%, which they are very well capable of, contrary to some people's belief. And that's $1,400. So some of the other options that we discussed, such as ground source, are at $2,000, which is a little bit more because it is going to be your full source. There's no option to keep your old heating unit. And something that we didn't discuss is heat pump water heaters, which I'll get to in the next slide. And for those who don't know what these imageries are, it's basically just showing you a heat pump, an air source heat pump, and a geothermal heat pump, which you see the line going into the ground, kind of exchanging the heat with the ground. A heat pump water heater would replace your old water heater unit, and it does the same thing. Basically, at that top piece, you'll see it's bringing cold water in and letting cool air out. Currently for that, and I'll go back one slide, we have a rebate offers for $1,000 per unit. And the cool thing is you can get it from 2 ways. You don't have to necessarily work with a contractor up front. You can walk into a potential Lowe's or a Home Depot. On our website, if you validate your account number prior to, you can get a $1,000 voucher to use in store, or you can submit the paperwork after purchasing it from one of those locations, or you can always go the traditional route and work with a contractor. One of them is actually here and coming up next with Nebraska. Jesse's soon to speak, so I won't take his thunder too much. All this can be found and more if you're ready to find a contractor to come and kind of discuss some sizing opportunities with you and just overall heating and cooling solutions. You can scan this barcode, or you can go to oru.com/find a contractor or oruhvac.com. And you can search by distance, you can search by name. So if there's somebody like a Nebraska that you've worked with in the past, you can see if they're in our participating contractor network, or you can see who's closest to you and services your area, and they'll be more than happy to discuss it further with you. Without further ado, I'll give it to Jesse at Nebraska.
Thank you, Christopher. I appreciate it. And Jesse has a friend, Marcos. We got a double team here. Thank you for coming.
Yes,
Are you ready to share your screen?
Thank you for having us. Like you mentioned, I do have Marcos here with me. He is one of our system specialists, and I thought it would be good, especially for Q&A, to kind of have a backup. So let me just get started here. Ooh, I'm not doing what I want. Bear with me 1 second.
And folks are welcome, as a reminder, to put questions in the chat if they'd like. Or you can hold them to the end.
Bear with me 1 second. My computer is not letting me present and share my screen at the same time.
Okay, may I then? So Chris, you just said something that triggered my curiosity. You said, yeah, you said the heat pump just for your water heater. Now, did you mean space heating or water heating? Would you be able to replace a water heater with using this for the same? Yes, you're nodding. Could you elaborate?
Yep. Yes, there is heat pumps that do for heating, and then there's a heat pump water heater that would replace your old water heater.
Okay.
I've heard from several people that it basically acts like a dehumidifier as well because of that air component to it. So yes, it does replace your hot water heater as well. It's a separate unit. There's both options. Same type.
So that's what I needed to hear. So it's a separate unit. You can't buy just one unit for double duty.
Correct.
That would be good. Chris, you may want to work on that at night. That could be your side hustle. You'll be a very
Definitely.
wealthy man if you can get 2 for the price of 1. And then you said it acts as a dehumidifier.
Because
So
it has the,
technically,
yeah,
yeah.
the air component. It keeps, I know most of the time basements are usually, not the best place you want to be. They're not the coolest, or they're a little muggy. That kind of alleviates that with the air component to it.
So, but just in this, would it be able to help give some cooling? Maybe not using a coolant, but it would allow for some cooling of space air by taking out the humidity?
It does naturally keep it a little cooler, yes, in the basement. Well, it's
Well,
typically
you
stored in the basement, correct?
stored in the basement only, so you can't. Okay, I'm probably still going to need a few more questions. Are
No.
you ready, Jesse? Fantastic. Take it away when you're ready. Thanks, Chris.
Jesse, you're on mute a little bit.
There we go. All righty. So, sorry about that, and thank you guys for your patience. So like I said, Marcos here and I are from Nebraska Service Corp. We are the authorized, we're one of the heat pumps installers with NYSERDA and Orange and Rockland, Central Hudson. And like Chris mentioned, we are actually an authorized Home Depot service provider. So if you did want to walk into a Home Depot, you can also find us there. We're here to cover a little bit more about the technology that Chris kind of had mentioned. About sort of how heat pumps work. He kind of explained that they pull they pull air to both heat and cool your home. There are a couple different types of heat pumps that are available for heating and cooling. You have your air source ducted, air source ductless, and then your geothermal ducted and ductless. What do I mean by that? So geothermal ducted, pretty much what happens is it's very similar to the way that the water coming out of your hose is 54 degrees all year round. Very similar concept. The air underneath the ground is usually the same temperature all year round. So it's a little bit more energy efficient to be pulling and pushing the air from that source constantly. So these heat pumps tend to be a little bit better. There are some pros and cons. They are that most energy efficient, but they are a little bit harder to install on existing home. So very often, if you're looking to build a new home or a new business, this is really the way to go. The ducted systems are also incredible in existing homes. Or sorry, they're good in the existing homes, specifically because you can reuse existing ductwork if it's what's the word I'm looking for? Sealed enough, and it's relatively new. Then it's really great to kind of reuse. They're not as efficient as the geothermal, but because they're pulling the air in and out from the surrounding area. The ductless is actually our most popular heat pump that we see installed because it's the most customizable. It can be used in pretty much any setting. It can do 1 unit or 1 room in your home, or you can have it do multiple. You can really kind of put these wherever you need to. Again, that con is that they're pulling from the air compared to that geothermal, so they're not as efficient, but there's no bulky ductwork that you have to hide. You don't really need an attic or a basement to kind of get that air to cycle. So these are really nice. Again, the other kind of con is you do see these sort of wall units here and there, but I've got them in my home. My parents have them in their homes, and after a while you stop seeing them. What to realistically expect out of your heat pumps is both heating and cooling, like Chris had mentioned. Energy savings up to about 40%. We've seen a pretty significant drop, and money back on your installation through both tax credits and the New York State rebate program. So how much can you save? Like I mentioned, there's that tax credit. And then as Chris had mentioned, there's the 2 types of rebates that you can qualify through Nebraska or with a certified contractor. Is that full load integrated controls or decommissioning? Again, that decommissioning is if you're taking your fuel out, both gas or oil out entirely. The full load means that you're just sort of being able to compensate for the heating and cooling of the entire home without removing your fuel. From our experience, I wanted to include these numbers just so you can kind of see from our experience what most customers are saving on both projects or both types of rebates for that instant discount. That 2,000 to 12,000 for most homes in our area for O&R, 1,000 to 7 for Central Hudson, and then 2,000 to 8,000 for NYSEG. And again, these are through the Clean Heat program. One of the biggest myths that we see is that the heat pumps won't won't be able to heat your home in these cold temperatures. The new hyper heats and those cold climate heat pumps, they can actually warm your home from 13 degrees, but you do have to have appropriate expectations. If it's that cold out, don't expect it to be able to heat your home to 80. It's sort of because you're compensating for the temperature of the air that it's using outside, there is a little bit of a flux. The other myth that we see is that they cost more to run. That's not quite true. Yes, you will see your electric bill go up a tiny bit, but you're not spending it so much on those fossil fuels like gas and oil. The average electric bill in our area for our customers was $125 last year, and they were spending about $180 on fossil fuels throughout the season. And then post heat pump conversion for most of our decommissionings, it was $212 a month consistently. Like, you didn't have to worry about paying two bills all of the time. The other thing that we kind of go toe to toe with very often is the electric from your home is using fossil fuels. Depending on your area, this can be true, but it's not going to be for very long. Part of this kind of Climate Act and these clean heat programs is that New York State is expected to be powered by 70% renewable energy. So why are you going to wait? The rebates are available now. We don't know how long they're going to be available, but it's going to be renewable, and it's going to be coming from good places soon. And then the other thing I did want to mention is Nebraska is doing free estimates and educational visits. So if you just want to find out what's good for your home and get a little bit more information, find out what you qualify for, we have that opportunity if you're not ready to like jump the gun and be ready for an actual estimate or project. That's kind of all I had because I wanted to try to keep it relatively short. There's so much information out there though. Feel free to give us a call and we're very happy to talk more in depth.
Again. Thank you, Jesse and Marcos, the silent guy. That was great. While our next speaker, Jimmy Vasquez from Orange and Rockland, to talk about electric vehicles from the e-mobility department, is getting set up, I just want to be clear. So that last slide that you hit with the table, so there is an option to not decommission for a certain amount, and then you get a little bit more if you do decommission, right? And that again is because of the bad players. They have to make sure you do it. It only makes sense to keep what you have in place, but unfortunately, they're incentivizing you to get rid of it, which is a problem because I wouldn't. I would have it. It's there. There's no reason to. But these are the types of programs. Now, is that across the board what you showed us? You mentioned federal, but then there's also the state. Was that inclusive of both?
No, so that the slide that I showed with a graph on it, that just included what's available through the New York State Clean Heat program through the utility companies.
Right, but you had mentioned federal
Oh,
prior to
yes, the
that.
federal tax credit. Pretty much what
Right.
happens is after you do an
that.
installation, there's what's called an AHRI. If you get one of those forms and you submit it with your taxes, you're eligible for those credits.
Okay, so again, that sounds like it could be a case-to-case basis.
Yes, it does vary based on the efficiency.
Is that something that you think that maybe you can prepare a packet so that if you're not able to be at the events that some of our town representatives are at, either they could have it for a handout, but also for their own self-education? It
Most
would be
definitely.
good.
We have flyers on plenty of this. I'd be happy to send them out.
Okay, but again, that case to case too, because we do have the residential, commercial, and then all the different iterations in between. It would be good to share. And maybe at the end, we will introduce the town reps that we do have. I apologize for not doing that earlier. All right, if there's no other questions, Jimmy Vasquez, Clean Energy Manager for the e-mobility at Orange and Rockland, please take it away.
Okay, can everybody hear me okay?
Yes, you could go a little louder if you want.
Okay. So good evening. Good evening. Jimmy Vasquez from the Orange Rockland. I'm part of the e-mobility team. And this evening, I'm going to give you a quick crash course on the e-mobility team, and then I'm going to run through some of the programs that we offer here in New York. So our purpose is to promote the electrification of transportation, and we do that by increasing and accelerating the deployment of EV chargers. We do that through a variety of incentive programs that I'll be talking about here. Additionally, we're creating and promoting a culture of grid efficient and charging behavior. You may have heard some of the concerns with electric vehicles is what is our infrastructure ready to handle it? And the answer is yes. If we're able to manage that charging to do it during off-peak hours, we can adequately charge all the customers in our service territory if they electrified. Additionally, we're looking to increase and accelerate the adoption of EVs, and it's really important that we deliver a best-in-class implementation of programs. We're well aware that this is a new technology. A lot of these programs are brand new to the consumer, so we want to make that process as pain-free and simple as possible. It really is a once-in-a-generation opportunity for the utilities to reduce the carbon and carcinogen emissions to help improve the community that we serve, and also help our customers save on total transportation costs. So moving over to I'm going to start with our residential programs in New York. Right now, we are pretty limited on residential programs regarding electric vehicles, but these are what we call our managed charging programs. We're looking to incentivize our customers to charge during off-peak hours. So starting with our Smart Charge New York program, participants of this program can earn incentives while they're charging during off-peak. So this is midnight to 8 a.m. There's an enrollment fee. There's an enrollment payment of $25. If you avoid charging during peak times during the summer, you can get up to $35 a month for those summer months. Additionally, you can receive about 7 cents per kilowatt hour that you charge as long as it's during off-peak hours. What's really important to note here is that participants do not have to be O&R customers. As long as you drive through or charge within our service territory, you can participate in this program. So we have a lot of participants that either live upstate and work within our Orange Rockland service territory. Likewise, our customers from New York City can also participate in this program as well. Then we have our time of use rate, which is very similar to Smart Charge. The only difference is it's incentivizing you to charge during off-peak hours through saving. So typically you have two different options. You could do it through your whole home time of use. And as long as you're charging during off-peak hours, you are saving significantly on your delivery charges. Something important to note, your supply charges will not change. Your utility bill consists of two different components. You have your delivery charge, the cost that we charge you to bring that energy to your home, and then your supply charge, which is the cost of the actual commodity. Supply charge doesn't change, but your delivery charge is reduced in this scenario. What's really important here is to take a look at what your usage looks like if you're going to do a whole home time of use. If you are running air conditioning throughout the summer months, let's just say you are a remote worker and primarily working 9 to 5 at home, this might not be the approach that you go because you may end up paying more on this rate because while our off-peak hours are very appealing and low cost, your on-peak hours can be very unforgiving. It could be as high as 38 cents per kilowatt hour as opposed to your standard around 9 to 10 cents per kilowatt hour. This also works great. We have a separately metered time of use rate. So if you are a homeowner that has a separately metered garage, you can make that. I think typically will be considered a commercial account. You're paying a commercial rate. When you do separately metered EV, it is now considered residential. So you're no longer paying the commercial rates. You're no longer paying for demand. It does have to be for your EV only, though. Otherwise, you wouldn't qualify. But again, just to reiterate, these programs, we're looking for the exact same behavior. We're looking for you to charge your vehicles during off-peak hours. One program is doing it through earning, that's your Smart Charge program, and the other one's doing it through savings, which is your time of use program. All right, so moving over to our commercial programs in New York, we have our Power Ready program. This is what I mentioned before when we're looking to advance the acceleration of EV chargers in our service territory. Power Ready can help offset up to 100% of the electric infrastructure cost associated with installing your EV chargers for light duty vehicles. So that's covering any of the distribution side work that is required, utility side works, cable, conduit, transformers, meters. And typically in a normal project, that's as far as the utility will cover. But under Power Ready, we will also cover customer-sided cost. So any infrastructure upgrades that you require on the customer side would also be eligible for this program. We have two different tiers. You have your level 2 chargers, which are about 7 kilowatts, and then which is your L2 program of Power Ready. And then you have your DC fast chargers, your DCFC, which is about 50 kilowatts or higher. This program has been very successful. Our level 2 incentives has been exhausted. We are reaching back out to the Public Service Commission to see if we can get additional funds, since there is a lot of interest for level 2. So if you do log onto our website and you see that we are at capacity, we are working to get more funds. So stay tuned. Similar to Power Ready, we have our medium and heavy duty pilot. It's looking to do the exact same thing. We are looking to cover the cost of installing chargers for vehicles that are 10,000 pounds or above, medium duty, heavy duty. The only difference between this program and Power Ready, aside from it being for heavy duty, is that we will cover up to 90% of utility sided make ready cost. And on the customer side, cost is up to 50%. So it's not as appealing as your Power Ready program. There is a lot of cost that's going into your larger projects to support heavy and medium duties. Medium and heavy duty. But there are additional incentives that you can get through NYSERDA, which is New York State Energy and Research Development Authority. Any questions on that, I encourage you to reach out to our team and we'll connect you to the right contacts over at NYSERDA. Finally, we have our, on this slide at least, our Smart Charge Commercial. Very similar to the program that I was talking about on a residential side. This is for our commercial customers. And again, looking to incentivize you to charge during off-peak hours. It is not the same dollar amounts that I had mentioned in the residential side. We are just starting out with this program. So if you have any fleets or any chargers at your workplace location, we do recommend that you reach out to us to participate. And then the last two programs that I'm going to cover is our micromobility program. This program just went live this past February, and this is to cover up to 100% of utility-sided costs and 50% cost of customer-sided, 50% of customer-sided cost for your lightweight, low-speed vehicles such as e-bikes or e-scooters. There are about 2 million in incentives for this program. So we do recommend that if anybody has areas with high traffic congestion, noise pollution due to traffic, or close to a park, we do recommend that you reach out to us to participate in this program. And then the final program that I'll talk to you about is the demand charge rebate. And this is specific to those who have DC fast chargers. One of the challenges that you see with DC fast chargers is that it's not only providing you with, it's not only charging your car, but it's charging at a rapid rate. And that results in a very high demand, which could be a cost barrier to most startup companies. So the demand charge rebate looks to help provide some incentive to offset the challenges that DC fast chargers bring. And then on the final slide, I'm just going to talk about our customer outreach. We are frequently engaging our customers, and our goal really is to raise awareness about the benefits of EVs, engage our customers, and talk to them about any concerns they may have. I share this because if there's any participants on this call now that have any events coming up, and you think that we'd be a good fit, please reach out to us. We're happy to participate. We just recently did an electric car ride and drive event over this past weekend in Pearl River, where we had about 15 vehicles. We showcased 3 Cybertrucks there, which was very popular. It brings a lot of excitement, and it really changes people's perspective on electric vehicles. because when they go to these events, they get behind the car with an actual EV owner. They don't have the pressure of a salesperson there. They get to hear about these real experiences, and there's a lot of value there. So if there's any interest for us to host an event in your area, we encourage you to reach out to us. I left my contact information in the chat, but you can also email the team at ev@oru.com, or you could visit us at oru.com/EVs. And with that, I will pass it over to Andrew.
Yes, thank you, Jimmy. That was great. I have some questions, but if Andrew's ready to share his screen, I will
Absolutely.
introduce him from Andrew Green from Healy Brothers. That's going to tell us more information about electric vehicles before we move into community solar. Again, I welcome everyone to put questions in the chat. While Andrew's pulling up, I want to take advantage of Jimmy. If you're the guy, we would love to have you at some events, because as you'll hear, there's a few different municipalities already participating. And hopefully tonight there'll be more. Chester's in the house, a few others, Warwick, Monroe, Town of Newburgh. Good luck with that one, right, John? But what I'm saying is it's a lot on Andrew. He can't be spread that thin. So if you were willing to go to functions, that would be good to know. Then just to go back to, you just snuck in there with your micro mobility program. You said if you're this, that, or that, or close to a park. So you do offer incentives for parks as well, for municipalities?
Yeah, so the program itself, I threw out parks out there. It's just an idea of a great location for micromobility. Some of the criteria to qualify for the incentives is it does have to fall under what is considered a disadvantaged community. We do try to look at different areas. We're actively looking at disadvantaged community areas and targeting specific sites that we think would be a great use case for micromobility. We do have the map, our hosting capacity map, which identifies where these areas are. So if you have any interest in participating and you're not sure whether you fall into the disadvantaged community window, you can check out our hosting capacity map on our website, or you can reach out to me directly with your address and I'll look it up for you. And if
How
you don't
about-
fall within that window, we'll find a location nearby.
So how about, I appreciate that. Is the hosting capacity map your own developed map?
That's
Okay,
right. Yep.
because to a lot of people on the call, the New York State DACs, the disadvantaged communities, it's surprisingly generous. So there's a lot of DACs out there. If you don't think you're disadvantaged, I would take a moment to look up this map. Jimmy, if you could send that to me, I could forward it to the folks in the call. Or if you want to put it in the chat, the link. I think it's worth a look now while it's all fresh on our heads, if you don't mind, because to get in our parks, I could put on my Parks Commissioner hat right now and say, come on over to Goshen. We'd love to have you. So, and I'm sure others, municipal officials here, would also love to have it. So that would be very valuable. Thank you. Andrew, are you ready?
I'm ready. If you all can hear me and see my screen.
We could hear you great. Thank you.
Excellent. All right, great. Well, good evening, everyone. I am Andrew Green. I'm in charge of digital media and marketing for Healy Brothers Corporate. We'll just get started. The thing is that EVs are not just a fad anymore. There's so many different ones that are available, that are out there for both, personal use and commercial use. So just, going through a few of the ones here, some of these are new and coming, but everything from SUVs like the Blazer and Equinox to the Silverado EV, which actually we'll get to in a later slide. The Silverado EV comes in a specific trim that's great for communities and for heavy work and things like that. And it actually comes with up to 450 miles of range. So that's a big deal right now. Ford F-150 Lightning, same thing. It's a standard F-150 that just has nothing but electric power. So a lot of extra room, and it can actually run a lot of tools, and there's heavy duty generators that you can get for the vehicle, where you can basically plug in all of your electric tools into the truck itself and run them off of the truck instead of running them from somebody's house or using other utilities that way. Another big one that we actually are using as our company to deliver parts is the E-Transit vans. So they're your standard size Ford Transit cargo vans, but run on 100% electric power and are good for over 120 miles of range usually. So they're good for commercial businesses and also for municipalities. Other vehicles you might see on the road: Hyundai Ioniq 5, Ioniq 6, Kona EV, Kia EV6, EV9, Nero EV. These are just the EVs that Healy currently sells. So this is not talking about ones that are coming later this year, coming in future years, and also from other brands like Tesla or Rivian, and things that you see on the road. So these are just from Healy's 9 dealerships throughout the Hudson Valley, just to give you an idea of how many EVs we can expect to see on the roads and expect to sell over the next few years. Something we try and tell, and something that's great with those EV ride and drive events, which we certainly try and run ourselves as well, is that EV drivers are regular people. They're good for everything. They're good for everything a regular gas car is good for, especially with the charging infrastructure that's out there. But like I said, the Silverado EV is going to come with 450 miles of range. So that's actually over most of the gas Silverados that are out there on the road right now, based off of their miles per gallon and their gas tank. With ultra fast charging, some vehicles like the Ioniq 5 and Ioniq 6 I showed you will charge in as few as 18 minutes on the right charger. So it's no longer a thing of, well, I have to wait for hours. If you're in an immediate need to charge up your vehicle, they'll go very fast if you need to. And plus, they're not as expensive as they used to be or seem to be, not even including the tax rebates and state incentives. We're talking about vehicles that start under $33,000. So EVs are available for everyone, for every use. Charging is not an issue anymore. We used to talk about range anxiety in the business all the time, about people worrying that their EV could only go 60 miles, and if they turned on the heat or the AC, they would go 40 miles. And well, it's not even worth it if I don't just go to the train station every day and hop on a train. Well, that's not true anymore. I live in a condo development, so I personally couldn't run a extension cord and charge a vehicle, but yet I drove this Ford Lightning. I live in Middletown. I drove it for a few days and had no issues with charging, because there are municipal chargers and chargers at other places. And thankfully, Ford just had an agreement with Tesla that allows them to use the supercharging network with an adapter, which Ford is currently offering to anyone who owns or is buying a Ford Mach-E or a Ford F-150 Lightning. So really, the sky's the limit on how far you can go and where you can go. People drive cross country in these things all the time now. But the nice thing is, we want to help people adapt to these vehicles. So here we understand that there are certain issues that people have with, well, I get the EV, but then I have to pay to have all this stuff installed in my house. Some vehicles come with an adapter for a 110 outlet, but that's going to take a long time to charge. So if you do use up a good amount of your charge, it's not going to be a simple overnight thing off of a standard home outlet. So we're offering anyone who goes to any of the clean energy events we're at, comes and sees and talks with us, maybe test drives a vehicle, we're offering them a $500 EV charger installation gift card, basically. As long as they bring this flyer that you see there with them, we will honor that, and we will give anyone who purchases or leases a fully electric vehicle from Healy that $500 to help pay and offset the installation cost, which typically we find covers almost all of it. So some electricians are more, some are less, but it's a very, very big chunk, and definitely something that we've seen has been a great incentive to help push people over the line to say, okay, I'm ready for this EV. So basically, we're out there. We want to see more of these on the road. We're here to help with municipalities, help with commercial vehicles. We'd love to see more municipalities in our area put EVs on the road. So we're here to help you in any way we can. The information's available right here. I left my contact information in the chat, and we look forward to seeing you out there and test driving some EVs at one of our events. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you, Andrew. I appreciate that. All right. Well, the next person's coming up. We have Kat Scott from Meadow Energy to talk about community solar. Well, she's bringing that up. I just want to make sure, when you said the 18-minute chargers, Andrew,
Yes.
So are those the superchargers on the highway now? Is it down to 18 minutes on the highway with the fast chargers, or what's the lowest there?
So it really depends on what chargers are out there and what the infrastructure is like at the area that you're speaking about. Right now, you saw I had the Lightning plugged in at one of the Evolve New York chargers there in Middletown. That one was extremely fast. I don't know the exact numbers, but just by sitting in the car while I went to get, or leaving the car plugged in while I went to get a slice of pizza and back, I gained over 50 miles of range. So that's
Right.
in the vehicle, that's about 20% of range I got in just a few minutes. So
Right.
it's it's a very specific circumstance where you're going to get that 18 miles right now, just because it does require a lot of power to do that. It's a heavy duty charger, but the varying from anywhere from, like I said, the home chargers overnight are going to be very long if you just use a standard outlet. But, the average home level 2 charger of these vehicles, which is pretty much the power that you're going to get in most of the charging stations you see just in a parking lot, or that those can run a few hours, but Tesla superchargers are definitely faster than that. Maybe 45, 50 minutes to an hour max to get from, now that's talking 0 to a bigger charge. So if you pretty much are standard running where, well, I'm not going to get below a quarter of a charge like I would in a quarter of a tank, your time is going to be a lot, faster to charge those vehicles. So it really just depends on where you are, but that's that great, share, there's the, I forget what it was, the app I took the screenshot of, I apologize, but there are plenty of maps out there that will tell you where the fastest chargers are and when they're the busiest or when they're not even in use. So they're out there.
Right, but that is the crux of it. Jimmy said something about when you're even driving through, that you could become a participant in one of the programs.
Yes.
This is it. And you hear this every day, Andrew. People come in and they say, I need to have the range anxiety. So you
Yep.
have it in your house and you can do that. And maybe you need it like to come home for lunch or something and leave.
Right.
But the 18 minutes is great, but they need it for travelers to go, like you said, cross country. So
Yep.
that's where I guess that's my hesitation. I need to know that. I don't know if Jimmy can weigh in anything more
I
on
will
that
say
and
real quick,
elaborate.
sorry, and I don't mean to interrupt, but the nice
Oh.
thing about EVs is that when you use the built-in GPS, they will actually route you so that they know
Sure.
where each charger is and get you to that location. And you'll be able to plan out and map out your travel well in advance and know, without any
Right.
hesitation, you're going to get there.
All right. All right. Let's hope so. It's coming.
It is. It is.
That's right.
Thank
A lot
you.
of companies working on this one. All right. So Kat, are you ready then?
I am ready.
I forgot I have to pull up your slides. Go ahead.
Oh, okay. Because I had them pulled up on mine as well. Hi everyone. No, it's fine, Kate. It's fine. I'm Kat Scott. I work for Meadow Energy. We were formerly known as Delaware River Solar. We still are a part of the Delaware River Solar family. We've been in the community solar business since New York State gave the green light for community solar, which was in 2016. Community solar, for those who aren't familiar, is an equitable way for people to participate in renewable energy. A lot of times solar installation is something that, well, it is definitely something that's reserved for people who have a roof, right? So you have to own a home. And people who have expendable income. So community solar, and not everyone who has, by the way, a roof and expendable income is actually eligible for community solar, because it depends on, where your house is located, the orientation of your roof, how many trees you have. Some people don't want to cut down 40 to 50 trees in order to, get solar energy. So community solar is a really great way for folks who rent, folks who are on limited income, to participate in renewable energy. So what we do is we build solar farms, and folks who have electric bills, right, either through NYSEG, Orange and Rockland, or Central Hudson. We're in all three of those utilities. Anyone who has an electric utility account can participate. So what you would do is you would reach out to us, and we offer a discount off of the utilities, the value of the energy, right? And what the utility values the energy at. So right now we're offering a 5% discount. We do have a 10% discount for certain projects that are considered low income. They're earmarked for LMI or low income folks. So when somebody is interested in signing up, we look at your utility bill to see how much energy you consume in the most recent 12 months. And then we allocate you a certain percentage of the solar farm. So once a month, when the utility reads your meter and then the utility reads the meter on the solar farm, they determine how much energy has been produced on your behalf, and they apply that to your utility bill. And right now, through the magic of consolidated billing, which was a beautiful thing that happened in the community solar world, is that the utility will present you with your bill. And what they're working on right now is having their own page for community solar. But on your bill somewhere, there is a spot where it says CDG value stacked credit, and it's a negative dollar amount. So that's the amount of energy that was produced on your behalf. And then there, underneath there or above it, depends on the utility, it'll say CDG subscription fee. So that's how much you were charged. So let's say, just for easy number's sake, it was $100 credit, right? So $100 of solar energy was produced on your behalf and applied to your bill. So let's say you had $100 electricity consumption. We produced $100 worth of solar energy for you. Then you would pay $95 for that energy, right? So you save $5 on the energy that was produced on your behalf from a community solar farm. Some of the myths out there about community solar is that it, because people are so used to there only being one model of solar, which is installation, and then it can be pretty pricey or cost prohibitive, they think that this causes their bill to go up, or their electricity bill, it's going to cost them more money. Unfortunately, in the last few years, we've seen that the energy markets have had more ups than downs, right? Energy has gone up more than it has come down. So a lot of people, their electric bills have gone up a little bit, but that's because of the cost of energy in general. So that's one of the things that we try to dispel as much as we can, because we're offering you a discount off of the value of the energy. We don't have a rate. We're not like an ESCO, an energy service company. We are just providing you with clean energy at a discounted rate. Trying to think if anyone has any questions. I think that's about it. That's the gist of it, right? It's actually pretty easy. Oh, here's an example of what your bill may look like. Oh my gosh, it's so tiny. So what I was talking about, the electric bill sample, it's so tiny, right? I can barely see it. The electric bill sample that's right there in the top right-hand corner gives you an example of that $100 credit, and then what the $95 fee is. It's marked on bills. They call it CDG, which stands for Community Distributed Generation, which is what New York State likes to call community solar, because in New York State, if we can't give something a complicated name and then an acronym, we really don't want it. So that's how it appears on your bill, but it's really a very simple program. You sign up with us, you get clean energy, and you get a discount for participating in community solar.
All right, let's see. So you think that's it? That you got some numbers there. I
Well,
don't know
yeah,
if you have to go through
those
that.
those are our numbers. We've been in the business for 8 years. We have 63 projects that are up and running, over 25,000 customers. What's interesting is each one of our projects saves CO2 reduction. Oh my gosh, now I can't remember what the individual is. It just says 400+ million pounds of CO2 offset from our solar farms annually. I can't remember what it is individually. Once upon a time ago, back in the day when, we were first getting started, I knew a lot more about these, but now we've got 63 of them up and going, and it's hard to keep track. But it's just a good way to reduce your carbon emission and to save a little bit of money. Oh, that's a good question. If somebody wanted to sign up, how long would they wait? It would depend. I know in Orange and Rockland right now, we have a project that we are currently developing, and we're hoping will be live by the end of the year. So if you're in Orange and Rockland, you may have to wait a few months. If you are a NYSEG customer, we have immediate availability. Well, what does that mean? So the utilities generally take about 60 days to make any kind of change to your account. So it takes about 60 days for the utility to onboard you. And let's say you were moving and you needed to cancel your account. It would take the utility about 60 days to do that, unless you cancel your account altogether, because your solar account is tied into your utility account. But And I believe in Central Hudson, we also have immediate availability. So in ORU, you're going to wait probably about 6 months. In NYSEG or Central Hudson, you're going to wait probably 60 to 90 days, depending on when you enroll. Did I miss any other questions?
No, well, I mean, that one came in. And could you start the process? Can you get the paperwork done and then when it comes up, it comes up?
Oh, yes. Yeah.
So you should be,
The actually enrolling with us takes a few minutes. That's easy peasy. It's just waiting for, if we're developing a project, in ORU, that's what the wait is going to be. Just waiting for that project to get built.
okay. All right, so does anyone have any questions for Kat? I think that's the last slide, Kat, right?
Yes, that is the last slide.
Okay, all right. So if anyone has any questions, folks are welcome to come off mute. Some questions were already answered in the chat, but I will tee off of Roxana's question to Chris about heat pumps, right? I think. No, Jesse answered it, so anyone was up. But the aged home, you know, one of the things I would argue is necessary is code improvements. I forget who brought up the hyper heat pumps. You know, you said it will do great. So the big thing was the 5-degree. That was the mark from years ago. So now we're saying it can go lower. You'll be fine with just this. But maybe you can't heat up to 80. Okay, that's reasonable, I think. If it's that cold out, of course, the typical American consumer wants it. They want it to be 90. I'm going to ask about, could there be consideration to mandate, like so many other things, appliances have to have a certain, outlet that they're using, electricians across the board, different types of codes are required inherently in the code. Where do we start? Right now, we do have some minimums in the energy code for windows, for insulation, but how do we, in the conversation, if we are electrifying everything, how do we now say we have to improve it? I know the state, maybe some of you don't know, are trying to improve it through the stretch code, but how do we really get it down so that, yeah, your heat pump's gonna be okay because your house is so well insulated that, as Roxana said, you have the drafts, the door opens, people come and go. Your heat goes on like that. The thermostat goes on. You feel warmer quickly if you have old-fashioned, especially steam heating, that it comes on, but this may take a little bit longer. How can we say anything about that, anyone?
If I can chime in.
Please do.
So there's two main roadblocks right now. The first roadblock is that the technology is still getting there. It wasn't up until a couple years ago that we really had that to the negative. We had heating capacities down to negative 13 degrees. I know Mitsubishi in particular is currently launching a new line coming 2026 that can heat down to, I believe it's negative 37. So we are slowly getting there, but we are limited by the amount of resources and funding that are being allotted for this kind of research. So I would say that's the first roadblock to kind of getting those mandates. The second one is, you are correct, the insulation in the homes, keeping everything kind of up to date, and those kind of codes being regulated along with these improvements, and the incentives not always being there at the same time to do both projects, or the funding for homeowners to do insulating their home and a heat pump installation and a hot water heater. It's just not realistic for a lot of residents in the Northeast. So that would be the two things that I would sort of say kind of hold that process back, but I don't think it's unrealistic. I don't think we won't see it within the next 5 years. We can make refrigerant changes happen within 2 years. I can't imagine why we wouldn't be able to increase these regulations or see that regulation change happen rather quickly.
Yeah, and as technology improves, one of the things I like to talk to homeowners about that they're not too familiar with is your SEER rating. So SEER is your seasonal energy efficiency ratio, right? So think of it as like a car. the higher the SEER, the more miles to the gallon you're going to get. And how do we achieve this? One of the things that Jesse did touch up on is the upgraded technology in these units, because now we're talking variable speeds, modulating parts, things that make it more efficient for your home. And what does that mean to the homeowner? Well, it means better temperature control and comfort level in the home. And in part with that, one of the things that homeowners love to hear is what saves you money on your utility bill. So right now, the standard SEER out, older homes have about a 13 SEER. The new standard for your typical central air is about 16 SEER. Now these units are out producing 21 plus SEER ratings for your home, which helps to assist bringing that heat down even in those frigid temperatures of -13.
We can't control technology. Clearly, it has improved so much, and it will improve. Again, like I joked before, there's creative people out there. They know that this is good money in the future. They're working at it. But again, in order to bring down the cost, the operational monthly cost, insulation is the most important thing. And I know the state's getting a little better, but we need to put more concentration towards that efficiency. And we've done so many mandates now recently that building up your window, the R values of the insulation and the U values of the windows need to be improved. And maybe even some other things I'm overlooking, but this is low hanging fruit. So Eleanor, that's your charge to take that back to the state, please. Does anyone have some other questions? The community solar people are getting some information from the chat. I can leave it at that. You answered, I don't want to, please put up a hand or come off mute, like I said, and inject yourself. In the very beginning, Jesse, I believe you talked about, no, maybe it was Eleanor, about direct pay again. And the community can get some rebates and discounts. I'm wondering, this was for electric vehicles. That wouldn't have been Jesse then. Well, no, it wasn't for electric vehicles. There must have been heating. But let's talk about what happened if municipalities work together. Is there an incentive for collaboration and we'll say bulk purchasing for that? And I really do think that was clean heating. Is that the direct pay? Am I getting it confused? Who was talking? I feel like it was Eleanor.
Yeah, I mentioned direct pay.
Yeah.
I do not think there is any, I have not seen any incentives specifically for collaboration of municipalities. But if a municipality installs a geothermal heat pump, or if they purchase electric vehicles, they would be eligible for those tax credits via the direct pay option from the federal government.
Okay, but so no incentive for doing it collaboratively for a bulk purchase. And that's something, Eleanor, I don't know if you know on the state contract, if they offer, believe they did that in the past, which is maybe why I'm asking. There were some incentives to get together and order. So nothing ringing your bells there?
No, not that I'm aware of. I mean, it's entirely possible that's part of the state contract, and I think it's a great idea, but it's nothing I've seen related to the federal incentives.
Right. Okay. So that was really direct pay is just the federal incentives. All right. Well, again, for all municipal representatives on the phone, this again, if it does exist, this is where why you want to jump on board, join our group, because we will all help each other and all boats will lift because we're all going to get a discount if that is indeed true still. Andrew, you answered my last question about the 18-minute charger. And I think I got my other hyper heat pump question answered. Does anyone have any other questions? I have I could ask Jimmy again about the incentives for folks driving through. You said the Smart Charge program, you didn't even need to be a Rockland or an O&R resident, an Orange County resident or an O&R resident, but just by driving through. So again, you're offering an amenity in your territory. Is that right? Is that why there's that program?
That's right. And I probably should have been a little bit more clear that if you're driving through and you charge within our service territory, you would qualify for the incentive program.
And again, you just have that account. Because the person could be driving up to Montreal and have one with National Grid, NYSEG, and everyone else up that way. Is that a common trend now with utilities? Is this something state PSC top down that they're asking you to do? Because again, it's like providing gas.
Yeah, so I'm the only companies that I'm aware that have this program is Con Edison and Orange and Rockland, but other utilities within New York are adopting similar managed charging program. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see similar programs in other utilities within New York State.
Okay. All right. Well, let's hope so, because again, it makes it easy for everyone, but it needs to be standardized like Easy Pass, which only took a few decades to really get standardized. You can't have all these different accounts. Does anyone know the status with the electric vehicle charging accounts? And maybe that's what this could be part of. But years ago, which could be close to a decade now, when I got a grant for electric vehicles and doing all the research and all the different companies, it's like subscriptions now to all the different platforms, media platforms that we belong to. Is there any talk of standardizing the electric vehicle charge point, EV Connect? I may be using dated groups at this point, but there's so many groups out there, like so many municipalities charging tolls. We need to get standardized and have one Easy Pass, or at least a few regionally. Is there anyone trying to do that with electric vehicle charging?
Yeah, so I think we're already seeing that in the DCFC space. So your level 3 chargers, Tesla has really laid down they've really done a lot of the groundwork already in creating that infrastructure. But in the past, that was just for Tesla vehicles.
Because it wasn't compatible. Is it compatible
Exactly.
now?
So it is. So now they are providing adapters for Tesla charging station for non-Teslas to be able to charge there as well. And I believe that other OEMs are now going to make the Tesla dock the standard for the new vehicles coming out in the future. So I think we're starting to see that discussion happen on the DC fast charging side. I think it's going to be very likely to see the same thing for level 2 in the near future.
Okay.
So
Great.
I know that is definitely close to near future because Nebraska actually just installed, I believe it's 6 EV chargers right here in our parking lot, and they all have the universal adapter. So you can do Tesla or pretty much any vehicle. It's like you click it and then you just sort of like pick the charger and you're good to go. So I know it's out there, and that consistency is coming.
Yep. All right. It's all coming. We just have to sit back and wait. Just.com. Okay. Any other questions? Kat, is there a promo code for the Meadow Community Solar?
Nope.
And yep, go ahead, please.
Nope, no promo code. You can just sign up. If you do have additional questions, or if you want to talk to somebody about it, I'll put our phone number here in the chat. You can always ask for me personally. I'm happy to talk to anybody, answer any questions. I don't do a hard sell because, I just really feel like this is something that works for most people. And if people aren't comfortable with it, that's fine too, but yeah, I'll put our phone number down.
And I'm not sure if you said how it is mobile around the electric territory. As long as you're staying within that territory, you can change apartments and still keep the account. All right. Well, if there's no other questions, I would just like to quickly introduce Olga Anderson from Highland Falls and Lisa Hinsey from Woodbury, and Michelle Lindsay from Tuxedo could not make it tonight. But these are our champions that have started this. They already are having events. They're already out there working with Jesse and Andrew and Kat, maybe. I don't know if you got there to one of the events, but they're already tabling and out there explaining the program. And that's what we're hoping. Anyone else on the call, Patricia, shout out, Dennis, etc. If you're interested in getting your municipal officials to support it, or certainly volunteers to help you get the word out, you too can sit at your farmers markets, your events, and explain these good opportunities. Jesse, Marcos, Andrew, Jimmy, I think you offered to come. Chris, you offered to come, I believe. Kat would also come. I could put you all on a list. If you're interested, reach out to me and I will introduce you and connect you like I have with the other folks. And therefore, then they start talking to you. Well, I got this tree planting. We got this recycle cafe. If you can't make it, okay. If Jesse can't make it, maybe Chris is going to be able to try and get there from O&R. And the same with if Andrew can't make it, then hopefully Jimmy's there. You know, we just try and get the word out. And if not, documentation, asking you to come up with some packets, send them to me. I'm going to share them with Olga and Michelle and Lisa, and they're going to have them. And maybe I'll print them out for you ladies if you need multiple copies. If you're going to their events, maybe you leave a few extra copies for their next one. Maybe they're going to put it in the library, town hall, village hall. But somehow let's try and get some multiple copies, get the word out. Let's make it a productive summer. You know, I think someone said it. Air conditioning units people are putting them on. They're not working. They're going to start replacing them. This is the time to act. We need to get the word out there. Some of you have asked, well, how are you going to know? Well, and I don't know, Eleanor, if you said this, you have to get 10 installations at least, right, Eleanor, if you're there for each of your villages and towns, 10 EVs, 10 heating and cooling units, and 10 community solar subscriptions.
It's 10 community solar subscriptions, but 5 clean heating and 5 EVs that need to be purchased. And any municipality that's interested on this call and doing one of these campaigns, I'd be more than happy to talk you through either separately or with the other Orange County folks who are running campaigns, how to make this happen so you get those nice sort of grants that I mentioned early on. The small communities can get up to almost up to $100,000 for running these campaigns that they can spend on, you know, municipal clean energy projects. So we are here to help with that. Absolutely.
Can I add really quick? Lisa Hintz from Woodbury. You know, we're talking about how, you know, these installations will get us points. But as a community that's involved in the NYSERDA campaigns, if we don't know some of these pumps and community solar signups are happening, you know, we're having that glitch on where to get those points from, especially for the heat pumps. So if there's any way we can have some form of communication to if you're installing them in our area.
If it's something we're doing, and part of our process is asking our customers how they found out about us, if they happen to mention this campaign or mention their municipality, we're more than happy to translate that and kind of send over reports as we do these installs. That's definitely easy for us to do.
Okay, could we contact you? I mean, what happens if they didn't know where they found out about it, or they're just getting it done, or you know what I mean? We have no mechanism to, would they know?
Like Andrew just said, bring the flyer. Do you have a flyer that maybe Lisa can get in everyone's hands? Or is there an incentive with code that they can give that would access, you know, if you could, Jesse and Marcos could think about a way to incentivize them to act now. Like for the air conditionings, they're acting now. Your car may break, you'll act quicker, but you know, it's going to be a long summer of education. People aren't ready to move that quickly sometimes. They're not that motivated, as I'm sure you know.
I can definitely add a promo code to our flyers. This way we can track. And if the municipalities want to reach out to me directly, I can definitely do custom promo codes for each municipality.
Okay, so now you have the 3 originals that you'll do custom codes, and then that includes Orange County, please. And then if we can convince Patricia, Dennis, you know, a few other people on the call to go forward with moving on, this is the time to act, folks. You have 3 dedicated women who got this ball rolling, and now you have all these wonderful people who are willing to help you educate the community. It's 5 for towns and villages, if I heard Eleanor correctly, for clean heating and cooling installations, 5 electric vehicle sales, and 10 community solar. You know, that's very reasonable. And how you track it is because the electric vehicles, new DMV keeps track of this, and you're able to access an app to get that online. Very simple. And usually the ladies tell me building permits are needed for the installation. So I'm assuming Jesse and Marcos, you know about that, and you can help us. And even if they don't say where they came from or they don't remember, as Lisa said, if you could please say, hey, Lisa, you got 3 in Woodbury, you're looking good. We need to communicate. That's all. Olga's going to pick up the phone and say, how are we looking for Highland Falls? And she say, you've been at 4 for 4 months. And Olga's going to go start walking around saying, come on, we need one more. So these are good things, good opportunities. We're all here to help you. We will meet with you together separately. Does anyone have any other questions before we call it a night?
Well, I just want to throw out there for any of the municipalities who are participating in these programs, I'm happy to come down to events, but I'm also happy if you guys want to create an event together, even if it's virtual. I find in this post-COVID world that people, sometimes are happy to do a virtual. They're not, necessarily coming out, and it's not because of COVID precautions anymore. It's just because people like to do things from their homes. But I put my information in the chat, but this is something we've done with other communities for several years, so I'm happy to work with you guys to get your 10 community solar signups.
And again, I don't want to sound like a cheater, but Kat, if it is, if it's already happening, please let us know. These ladies have been at it already for some time. For the newbies, Patricia, again, Dennis, a few other people there, Virginia, you just have to submit a short scoping document, which Eleanor Peck will help you with. And Eleanor, I actually would love if you sent, if there was a blank that you could put in the chat or email it to me again, I would be grateful, because I'm going to try and do it from my host town, Goshen. And I'm sure, Eleanor, the newbies on the group considering it would love to look at that. It's a form that Eleanor really helps you through, and you submit that to the state approves it, and voila, you can start going. So because these 3 municipalities have already done it, Jesse may already have 3 sales from Woodbury. Kat may already have 3 sales from Tuxedo. So we're hoping that it's that simple. We're hoping.
Yeah, if you guys, anyone who's participating, if you get me the zip codes and the start date, I'm happy to send you the enrollments that we've already received. That's what we have done with communities in the past, is we just we track zip codes as they come in, and then we provide the municipality with that information.
So provide it to me and I will connect it with the lower municipalities, or directly, since you work with them, who to get in touch with. That would be fantastic. Yeah. So hopefully you'll join us. I'll include you, we'll invite you. We typically meet once a month. Sometimes we meet more. We will meet as you need. I agree with Kat that so many things get done online, but this is the online. And I feel like we have more members, municipal members here, than we have people from the public. How do we access the public is something I don't do. I serve the CAC members usually. We could put ads in papers and try something, Kat. The ladies, we're going to be at farmers market. Virginia from Cornwall just expressed interest that she could maybe do this at farmers markets. That's where you're going to see the people to get enrolled. So
one of the things that we've done in the past, and this was pre-COVID, so I don't know if this will make a difference, is we kind of partnered with some nonprofits who were, in the environmental range. So, and they would kind of reach out to the public, and that kind of, community solar, when it first started, nobody knew what it was. So that kind of also helped us become a little bit more valid in the public's eyes. But if there are nonprofit, environmental agencies or organizations within your community, they might be good ones to partner with, because they might already have email lists. And might already have people you can reach out to.
Right. So the years ago that Kat refers to was the initiative to work with religious institutions, any way to get the congregation to start talking green. So we could try that. We certainly can. All right. So let's more questions or interactions. So if anyone wants to reach out to me, you know where to meet me. If you need to stay on and talk to people, let me know and I'll keep the Zoom up. But otherwise, I'll let everyone go. It is almost 7. It's still daylight. Go out and walk. All right. Thank you, everyone, for coming. I really appreciate your participation.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Kate, for putting this together.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
Thank
all.
you.
Bye.
Have a good night.
You too.